YouTube, how you guys doing? In this video I'll be comparing the new Apple TV 2010 versus the Seagate Free Agent Theatre Plus, which I've had for a few months, and now that I've got this device delivered today, I thought, hey, why not go and compare it, just in case if any of you out there are trying to say, well, what is the best sort of home entertainment media system about? So let's get started. So starting off with the basics, price, this is going to cost you £99 and this is going to cost you roughly about £85. If you look at the back, you've got space for your power cable, micro USB, HDMI here in the top, Ethernet port, and you've got your optical audio right beside on the left hand side of the Ethernet port. And needless to say, from this video you can see this is very small, tiny, easy to carry about. You know, you're going out to your friend's house or whatever, shove this in your bag, shove this in your iGear jacket, and it is, you know, going to be very easy to carry around with you. This thing here, the Seagate, is kind of a monster when you compare it with it, but it's got some very nice features which I like, and I'm probably going to miss them. Number one is the storage on this. You can attach a USB drive to it. So here I've got my Transformers USB drive, and what I would do is I would put films on this, any format, whether it be MKV files, XVID, DIVX, they would play off no problem. So I would just usually do this, and you know, in the devices thing, you can see on your right hand side they would pick it up. On the back here you've got a lot of choice. You've got component cables, which, does anyone actually use them? AV out, HDMI, Ethernet port, USB, another USB, and you've got your power adapter. Now it's not got Wi-Fi built in. If you want to have Wi-Fi, you have to go out and get a special Seagate dongle. Whereas this has got everything in the one package, excluding the USB drive and the component cable. So they've given you everything that you need in this wee thing. The Apple TV has got 720p capabilities, whereas the Seagate has 1080p capabilities. Now let's take a look at the software side, and starting with the new Apple TV, it boots up much faster in my opinion than the Seagate, and once you start in, you've got a lot of options. You can, the main thing that's going for the Apple system is iTunes, and you can rent movies. So if you've got friends around, you've got family around, instead of having to move between your computers to stream stuff, everything there's on your TV, so you can rent the movie there and then, and it streams pretty fast. Within 10 to 15 seconds it'll stream in 720p, and the quality, needless to say, is fantastic. It has got 1080p compatibilities, but it's not enabled. It's there. Apple have disabled it. Probably a future update would enable it, but my feeling is, and a lot of rumours or a lot of stories on this are saying, because the internet is not so fast in some countries, it's not much point in having 1080p streaming. But you know, whereas on the other hand, the Seagate does not have any store per se, or app store, or movie rental store, or buying. You have to have everything running off your computer or off your USB drive. Apart from movies, you've got YouTube integration. You can watch YouTube, and to be honest, it is absolutely very good watching YouTube on this Apple TV. Now, you've got YouTube on the Seagate as well, but the problem with that is you've got this remote, which is a monster. It doesn't work at times. You have to be pretty precise as to where you're pointing, and you have to, you know, type each individual character using this. If you want to write eyeglass reading videos in the search bar, you literally have to use the remote to do it. Whereas you're probably saying, well, you have to do the same thing with Apple TV. No, you've got the remote application on this, and you can type it just as you would on a normal iPhone or iPod Touch device. You can literally have a keyboard out here and you can type it. Now you're probably saying, well, what if you don't have an iPod Touch and an iPhone? Well, if you bought an Apple TV, surely you must have something of Apple, and that something probably has to be an iPod Touch, an iPhone. Previous generation iPhone doesn't have to be the iPhone 4, but surely you bought the Apple TV based on your previous Apple purchase. You know, so again, it's the UI, and Apple, you know, wins that hands down in my opinion. You've got MobileMe integration, so I've got my MobileMe hooked up. You've got Flickr galleries, and then the next thing is home sharing, which is very cool. So I've got my iMac enabled with home sharing, so I can put movies into that, music, photos and everything. As you can see from these movies, got backup so I can watch the Lee Evans program. I've got Step Brothers DVD there. I've got a couple of episodes of Phone Jacker, Dexter, and I can play them right there and then, which is, you know, pretty neat. Apart from that, I've got some photos being shared, and I had no reason why I'm sharing these photos, but I guess it was just an example. You can have a nice wee slideshow. And last but not least is the settings pane, so you can really, you know, customize your remote, which one you want to use, your settings, your audio, video, and so on. And you know, the main thing when it comes to television for me, I don't know about yourself, but you know, I just want it to be simple. You're sitting on a couch, you don't want to be messing around with a chunky remote like that. You don't want to be, you know, you want to have the settings, you press one button and you're there. You don't want to be going through so many options like you would be doing with your iMac or your MacBook Pro or your desktop. You know, that's a given. You've got a big system and you can do so much. But a TV is something you're sitting, you're relaxing, and you don't want to be going through all those features. That said, Apple TV is not there yet. And the reason why I say AirPlay is not out yet, AirPlay will allow you to have your iPad, and as you can see, you can sort of you know, stream stuff directly from your iPad to your television, and I think that's really when we're going to see the full capabilities of the iPad. It's going to be very, very interesting. So you know, that could be extended to, you know, if you're watching YouTube on your iPad, simply, you know, drag that along to your Apple TV, which needless to say is pretty neat. You're playing a game or reading a book or doing whatever on your iPad and then flicking over to your Apple TV. That said, the Seagate is definitely a very, very nice contender. It's got some of the things that the Apple TV is probably not going to have ever. And one of those things is USB, so having all your USB files on that, you know, storage. Just drag, go into your My Computer or your Macintosh HD, put films or videos or pictures right onto it, drag and drop it, whatever format it is. This guy will play it. And if you want to have big storage, you simply open this up and you can fit a hard drive right in here, which makes me really wonder about these home media systems. Are these really home media systems, or are they just mini computers at the end of the day? I don't know about you guys, and most of the people that I, you know, stay in touch with don't really have hard drives going or external SATA drives going for them, where you would, you know, hook your USB drives in. You know, and this is where I guess Apple TV comes in. It's making everything simple. You don't want to, you know, go through all that hassle putting stuff on this. When, you know, right there from your TV, your television, you just rent it or buy it or whatever through iTunes, and then coming back onto iTunes as well. The App Store, no doubt we will see that in the next few months. Steve Jobs has said, when the App Store is ready for the Apple TV, that's when it will be launched. So this is, again, this doesn't have Apple TV, of course. It doesn't have any store. And at the back you've got component cables, so if you do happen to be using a slightly older television, or for whatever reason you want to be using component, you do have that option. Guys, now is the $1 million question that you've all been waiting for. Which one shall I go out and buy? Guys, it really depends as to what your needs are. If you have a lot of films on your hard drive, a lot of films, and you're the sort of person who watches that all the time, then this machine here is probably going to be your best bet. If you have you know, iMacs around the house, MacBooks, and they're pretty much always on, go for the Apple TV. You can stream, home share, you know, everything through the Apple TV. Fantastic UI. When AirPlay comes out, I think this will be even better. The App Store, when that comes in a few months down the line, that will be great. Fantastic price, I think, £99. Even although I was expecting a bit lower, but you know, it's under the £100 mark. And definitely if you're, you know, traveling to the States or any part of the other world, pick it up for about £79, £70 depending on where you go. The Seagate home theatre is a bit hard to find. It's only very limited amount of retailers carrying the device for whatever reason that may be. And did it fail? I don't know, but for the few months that I had, it is a very, very nice device, and I'll be recommending it to a few people who have hard drives. So it's really a bit of a catch-22 situation as to which one I should recommend. It depends on your needs. I would definitely say, you know, go for the Apple TV personally if you have a lot of Macs and you want to stream directly from this, and having the iPhone, sorry, as a remote control, you're just laughing. You know, watching YouTube on it and using this here. Fantastic quality. This, you know, very little buffer time at the start. It's about 10-15 seconds depending on your connection, and you can't go wrong with it. Apple support at the end of the day, and the future is kind of bright for Apple TV in general. If you have any of these two devices or any other device apart from this Seagate here, which one do you think holds up and why? Definitely very interested to see what you guys think. Guys, remember, click anywhere on the screen for magic, and join me on eyeglassregime.com, twitter.com/i6glassregion. You can join me on facebook.com/eyeglassregion. And guys, I'll see you in another life. Cheers.